Astonishing Legends Network.
Disclaimer. This episode includes the usual amount of adult language and graphic discussions you've come to expect around here. But in the event it becomes an unusual amount, expect another call from me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Scared All the Time. I'm Chris Cullari.
And I'm Ed Voccola.
And this is week 6 in our Summer of Fear series. We're more than halfway through now, and after covering brain-eating amoebas, shark attacks, fireworks, roller coaster disasters, and road trips, we're starting to run out of summer activities that aren't scary, which is why we are taking a vacation this week. Our fear centers are blown out, and I think we deserve it. So we're going to head out into the mountains, take a quiet stay at an isolated summer camp. I've got s'mores, I've got beers, I've got burgers, nothing but cookouts and games, and wait, hang on. I'm being told summer camps are as deadly, if not more deadly, than anything else we've talked about yet this summer. Okay, great. So, from natural disasters to disappearances to murders, we've got a backpack full of fear to unpack. And this camp has a special counselor to help us stay safe, or at least pick up the pieces after we're hacked to bits. We're psyched to have fellow podcaster Kaydra Brennan of Perplexity, a mystery podcast, joining us to discuss all the ways you might never come home from summer camp. So load up, get on the bus, and wave goodbye to your family and friends, because this week we're screaming until the sun comes up at summer camp.
What are we?
Scared.
When are we?
All the time.
Join us.
Join us.
Now it is time for
Scared All the Time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We've got a good one for you today. We are nearing the very end of our Summer of Fear, and Perplexity really brought it for us on this episode about summer camps. I think you're going to love it. But before we dive in, just a couple of things quickly off the top. First things first, no longer do you have a choice. You now must go follow us on Instagram or Facebook, or Ed, I don't think we use Twitter anymore.
I think those are the only two places we are, and even that seems overwhelming.
Instagram or Facebook, you must go follow us, because we are headed to Midsummer Scream in Long Beach on August 16th. We're going to be down there with Perplexity. We're going to be down there with one of Perplexity's
friends,
podcast friends, Drinking the Kool-Aid, I believe they're called. And we want you to come hang out with us that Saturday night after the con. The only reason we need you to keep your eyes peeled is because we have not chosen a place yet.
So yeah, we're closer to the date. We're going to post it online and be like, hey, come hang out here. We'll be hanging out. We'll be drinking. We'll be in whatever. More the merrier. Everybody's welcome. So if you find yourself in Southern California on what weekend is it? The 16th? Are we going to be there the 16th?
We're going to be there the night of the 16th, probably sometime at or...
We'll be at the con all day and hanging out and stuff, but we'll be like letting people know where you can find us and hang out and drink and stuff that evening. But if you're at the con, just come say up to us on the floor. We'll be walking around.
Yeah, so that is going to be great. You should definitely come out and see us if you can. The other place you should follow us is www.patreon.com/scaredallthetime. That is our Patreon. We think it's one of the best deals in podcasting. There's all kinds of stuff you can get, multiple levels to sign up at. At the lowest level, you get a Scared All the Time or a New Fear Unlocked episode every single week. We bring you the content, and we do not stop. Although we might take a break, but we do not stop.
So far, if we take a break, it won't be on Patreon stuff. So just know that up front.
Yeah, you'll still get Patreon stuff. We're figuring that out because spooky season is coming up, and we might have to figure out some epic shit to do for you guys. So follow us over on Patreon. Sign up for a tier. Everybody who's signed up so far as we know, really loves it. We've got live shows that we do online. We've got merch you can get. We've got all kinds of stuff. So head over there. And then... that brings us to Ed 5-star reviews. You guys know it. You love it. You leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, or I guess just Apple and Spotify.
I think Apple's the one that goes to our website, and then Spotify, I think you can see if you're looking for it. Just leave us 5 stars on Spotify, but if you want to write us something funny that we'll read, that's Apple, I think.
Yep, and if you leave a good 5-star review, we may read your 5-star review on the show, and that's what we're about to do right now. We've got some great ones lined up, one I particularly find chuckle-worthy. So, Ed, do you want to kick us off with Love This Podcast from Weird One in My Triad?
Yeah, sure. Weird One in My Triad says, subject, 5 stars, love this podcast. Body of the review. I love it this podcast exists, and I'm not the only one with dark/eerie interests. Haha. I imagine, who knows, I'm supposed to read that haha after that sentence. I came over because Christine from And That's Why We Drink had mentioned it before. Love that podcast too. That's their love. I mean, I have nothing against them, but I'm just reading what they wrote. So I had to come check it out, and I've been binging it the past few weeks. Thanks for doing what you do. More cryptids! Exclamation point. So they've written a 5-star review and given us a job to do.
Well, you know what? That wish may just come true. There might be some more cryptids around the corner. Oh, and thank you, Christine from And That's Why We Drink. That's awesome that you listen to Scared all the time and that you're telling people about it. We also like That's Why We Drink. I'm not sure us telling our fans will help you guys too much because you're a huge podcast. But listen to That's Why We Drink if you don't already. It's very funny. Next review, 5 stars, Hyper Evolved Podcast.
Oh boy.
This is from Comic Book Kid 82. This 5-star review reads, I have been a listener since the birth of this beautiful baby podcast.
Oh my God.
It's taken me a long time to fully appreciate the depth of knowledge shared via this pod, but after I listened to the meth episode, everything changed. I am now hyper evolved, and as a result, I can now fully digest the podcast and all of its power.
Wow.
I also cannot believe the amount of women and their daughters that stare at me when listening to the show. Remember, it's in the water. 5 microdosed stars daily.
Wow, that's really, really funny.
If you've listened to the meth episode, you will understand why that's so funny. If you haven't listened to the meth episode, I assure you, Comic Book Kid 82, although I like to think listening to our podcast makes women and their daughters stare at you, he is not a creep. That is a reference to a specific thing in that episode. So,
but I will say, as a person who hates anybody who doesn't use headphones in public, if you're listening to our podcast super loud without headphones in public, you might get stares from moms, their daughters, people like me.
And everyone, really.
Being like, fucking, I hate this. So don't do that.
All right, and then that brings us to our last 5-star review for this week. Ed, do you want to read this one from Nate All the Time?
All right, Nate. Nate says, scared of sharks, ellipses, in the shower. Ellipses. And the review reads, only the second podcast I've been able to stand to listen to. I don't know.
Good.
I don't know if they listen sitting normally.
Hey.
You guys have me laughing out loud at work and then having to explain to my coworkers, so thank you for that. I'm never good at reading, so that's not how we meant it. But you know what I mean? That's not probably the pacing they wanted. I was listening to the Sharks episode while I was in the shower, and everyone knows that moment when you have to close your eyes to wash your face, that moment where as soon as you close your eyes, something definitely appears behind you. Well, this time it was a shark, and I fully believe it was about to have my calf bitten off. 3 exclamation points. Thanks for making work entertaining all the time. Well, you're welcome. Now I'm thinking they might be showering at work.
That's what I was just wondering. Are they?
Yeah. It starts with work, it ends with work, and there's a shower in the middle.
Are you showering near your coworkers? Do you work at some sort of chemical plant where you have to clean off before you enter and exit the room, kind of a thing? Like,
are you a lifeguard?
Or maybe a lifeguard?
I don't know. Do they shower? I don't know.
And you're just laughing in the shower. Again, in this case, if you are just laughing in the shower and you do have headphones in, as you should, now you do also are going to have people staring at you. So maybe there's no really great way to listen to this show.
Yeah, I know.
People are going to stare at you whether you have headphones in or not.
If you're in a private place, feel free to not use headphones. If you're in a shower, work shower, if you're at home, whatever. But if you're out in public, you're on the bus, fucking quit it.
And with that, we close the book on this week's 5-star reviews. If you haven't heard your review yet, don't worry. We will get to you someday. I think we will read through all of these eventually. And if you want to leave one, go to Apple, leave a 5-star review, make it great, and we will read it on the show. So with that being said, welcome Perplexity to the show. Let's get this bad boy started. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. We've got some crazy stories ahead this week, but before we dive in, I want to take a second to welcome our special guest. She is the host, writer, and producer of Perplexity, a mystery podcast, Kaydra Brennan. Kaydra, thank you for joining us.
I'm so excited to be here. And what an intro that was. I'm stoked to get into this.
Hell yeah, dude.
Listeners, you may have heard Ed and I on an episode of Perplexity when we went on to discuss the Satanic Panic and its ties to QAnon. But for those of you who haven't, Kaydra, do you want to just tell the people a little bit about Perplexity and where they can find it?
Yeah, absolutely. That episode was so much fun, and y'all should definitely check it out. I release new episodes every Wednesday, wherever podcasts are available. So wherever you are listening to this, you can find me. And I am on YouTube as well. The show is in its 3rd season right now. So there is tons to binge, and it's all things perplexing, mysterious. I cover true crime as well.
Nice. Cool.
Hell yeah.
And sometimes she has people like us on who promise to do a promo and I just never edit it. But I think I might still do that promo. I might do that promo for this episode.
I honestly forgot about that, but
It's all right. I get busy.
I mean, there's just way too much going on in podcasting. It's hard to keep up.
Listen, we've worked 2 of our editing interns to death and had to bury them in a lime pit already. So it just, these things happen. We fall behind.
I don't even like jokes like this. I have no problem with murdering unpaid workers jokes, but I don't want people to think that we actually had interns. We have no one.
No.
But us on
interns.
this show, it's fucking sucks.
Just us.
Let me be very clear. It's just me.
It's
Yeah,
brutal.
it's just us.
Kaydra, before we dive in though, so I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you is, have you ever covered anything summer camp related on your podcast? Or is this going to be the first time?
I don't think I have. And if I am wrong, I'm sure my listeners will correct me.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
I don't think I have.
Amazing.
But I'm excited.
Good. You should be. There's some stuff in here that really fits in with what you do on your show. That's why I wasn't sure if maybe you touched on some of these, but nice. Brand new. I love it. Okay. Where I want to start this conversation, though, is what really inspired the idea of the episode. And I think what most people think of when they think of fear and summer camp, they think slasher films, which are one of my favorite genres of movies. And we'll learn there are lots of reasons to be afraid of summer camp, but I thought it would be a nice little appetizer to start by talking about slasher films, or really any summer camp horror films. So, Kaydra, do you have... are you a fan of any particular summer camp horror films? Are there any that got under your skin when you were younger or older?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love Cabin in the Woods. It's a classic for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the first thing that's coming to my mind. And then I want to say it's called 1984. Let me look this up really quick.
Famous
But
book.
there was-
About summer camps?
Oh, summer of 84 or summer of 81?
It came out like a couple years ago, but it has Emma Roberts in it, and I want to say it's a season of American Horror Story.
Okay.
It's called 1984.
Yes.
And it's at a summer camp.
Yes,
So,
that's actually one of the better seasons of that show, I think. Because my issue with American Horror Story is how each season starts really promising and then falls apart. But the summer camp one, it sort of feels like a around the campfire story that goes crazy. So I kind of give it a little... That's why I like the Asylum season, too, because it makes you feel like you're going insane because it just gets more and more crazy.
I did enjoy Asylum. Yeah, I feel like 1984 is like the way I visualize a scary summer camp. It just puts you in that vibe for me.
Yeah, it nails the aesthetic for sure. Ed, what about you? Are you where are you with summer camp horror?
Well, I don't watch a lot of scary movies, but schlock-based camp stuff, probably all the sleepaway camps.
Oh, yeah.
And cheerleader camp, which has a way better poster than a movie.
As many schlock movies do.
Yeah, and has one of the more obnoxious comedic relief kind of characters, which all these schlock has, like a friend who sucks. Like the friend who's not there with a girl, he's just making the dumbest jokes. He's like putting down like fucking whoopee cushions and stuff. I'm like, well, who is this for? But yeah, those are both great, I would think. Camp movies, good schlocky horror movies.
Yeah, that
aren't going to scare me, I'm saying.
The first Sleepaway...
Oh, Sleepaway Camp 1 it's iconic.
Yeah, is iconic. And that franchise also, kind of takes a nosedive the deeper into it that you get. But I do remember one of the first video boxes at the video store that ever really like scared me or stuck with me or made me kind of deep down interested in horror is the cover for, I think it's Sleepaway Camp 3, and it has I think it's Felissa Rose, I forget what the character's name, the girl, the
It's Angela.
Yeah.
Angela's back.
Angela's
Yeah.
back, and she's got a backpack on, and in the backpack is Jason's mask and Freddy's glove, and it says something
in the poster.
Yeah, and it says something about how
Yeah.
like that no one can stand up to Angela or something at summer camp. But I was like, whoa, what is this? What?
That's Sleepaway Camp 2.
Oh, 2.
that you're
Okay.
thinking of.
Yeah,
But
this
it's-
is 3.
Yeah, 3 is just look at these boobs.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
The
We've gotten
other
to that
ones were Sleepaway Camp 4 also is boob based marketing, but the Sleepaway Camp 2, it's an awesome poster, and it's Pamela Springsteen. It's Bruce Springsteen's sister.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
right. Because they changed the actress.
Yeah, they did change the actress.
Yes.
And I think it's Pamela Springsteen for a couple of them, and then I think also Martin Sheen's daughter Renee Estevez is also in the second one. It's like a pretty wild.
Okay,
kind
Mister. I don't
Nepo
really,
baby movie.
I don't really know anything about sleep, slumber.
Well, I have it open. I have the IMDb. open.
Okay.
So like find that poster.
Okay.
I was gonna
like,
say, I
geez.
feel like I'm like watching a Trivia Master right
The
now.
recall.
No, I just have a computer, which I guess all kids with like ChatGPT are trivia masters now. but-
Yeah. Well, I'll put this
I had to
out there.
Google it.
I know it's a controversial choice for some, but for my money, for summer camp horror movies, you cannot beat Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. It is the GOAT Friday the 13th film for so many reasons, but one of the biggest is that it's one of the, if not the only, Friday the 13th movies that takes place at an open operating summer camp with kids in attendance. So
When they filmed it.
no. Like in the movie, like usually the Friday the 13th movies take place like before the camp opens and it's just the counselors that show up. But in
Oh.
Friday the 13th Part 6, the kids actually show up while Jason is stalking around. And so it immediately raises the stakes for the entire movie. There's some great sequences with Jason stalking around the cabins and the little kids hiding under their beds. It's also a proto-Scream horror comedy. It's very clever. It's very funny. It's not fully meta, but there are a bunch of great kind of like self-referential bits. And it's also, I think, aesthetically the first Friday the 13th movie to look like a real movie, which is why I think it has so many people who hate it, because they like the rough and gritty look of parts 1 through 5, and they like how sort of mean-spirited they are. And part 6 is like, part of why I like it is that it's very gothic and old school monster movie. Like there's fog and lightning, and Jason is kind of lit like Frankenstein or like an iconic movie monster.
Love it.
Well, I mean, it was living in an age post Top Gun had come out. We all had to step our game up in the cinema. Like to get to the theaters,
Yes.
you can't keep making garbage.
No.
You know what I mean? The best movie ever made had already come out. So
So anyway, that's my plea to you. If you have time this summer, watch Friday the 13th Part 6. I think it's the sort of the 80s slasher movie that people see when they close their eyes. They're thinking of Friday the 13th Part 6, even if they don't know they are.
okay.
It's that good. Anyway, for a genre that had a grip on really the 1980s, which is what, 40 years ago at this point?
Yeah.
Summer camp horror films are still
I don't like what I'm hearing.
yeah. It's summer camp horror films are still influencing horror today. Just in the past decade or so, there was Stage Fright, which was sort of like a musical horror movie mashup at a performing arts summer camp.
Okay.
There's Final Girls, which friend of the show, Ellie Smolkin, was the DP on. There's Marshmallow that just came out and I haven't seen, but I've heard great things. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, his directorial debut, Hell of a Summer, is a summer camp horror movie.
So it's coming back.
Well, yeah, then there's the American Horror Story 1984, and there's a couple other seasons of slasher or horror TV that are summer camp influenced. So yeah, I mean, the genre is everywhere. Lots of people have favorites, and it's always great to throw one on during the dog days of summer. And I also think it's fun to discuss sort of why, like for all the bodies that have been stacked up at summer camps and movies, what is it about summer camps that makes them such a fertile killing ground?
They have no parents.
Well, yeah, there's no parents. I think that's...
It's kids without parents. It's a buffet for a number of crimes. Like people who are into doing crimes.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the siren's call for them.
It's also where a lot of sex happens, and that always invites a monster, it seems like, in scary movies.
Oh my God.
Yep. Well, and
this is revealing. Before we get into it, I definitely didn't go to summer camp because wasn't aware of all this sex.
Well, I think though that's a little bit like the there's a bit of like a cyclical element to that of, I think, Friday the 13th and The Burning, which was written before Friday the 13th and I think shot before Friday the 13th.
Which also sounds like something that you would say is what I'm experiencing after maybe a not great sexual encounter.
Not
True.
me personally.
I don't even know them.
Not me personally.
No,
but
no.
I've heard stories.
Yeah.
I think, there's an element to like, once those movies did well and they had the isolated kids without parents, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, then it's sort of that launched into the rest of the genre. And then that became part of what you needed to have. So we kept going back to summer camps because that was an easy place to do all that.
Well, here's something that I think none of us can answer. What do you think came first? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll at summer camps? Or movies portraying that and then people being like, I got to go to summer camp and do all this? Like, were they literally just making wallets and then they saw Friday the 13th or whatever and were like, oh, this is what we're supposed to be doing here?
No.
We were just making wallets and like looking for arrowheads and stuff.
Well, we're going to get into that actually because
Great.
You know that I love to start these episodes with a little bit of history, and especially because I'm not sure that kids, I don't know what the summer camp life is like for kids these days.
I think it's still going on.
Ed, you said you didn't go to any summer camps, right?
No, I went to like a day camp. It wasn't a sleepaway and it wasn't I went to a thing called FMEC, Filmmakers Educational Cooperative, which was amazing and changed the path of where I would be in my life. But it was also in an abandoned college that had like two separate industries collapsed in these buildings before it was like a not-for-profit space for single parents to leave their kids like me for a couple hours. So that is not the same thing as like Wet Hot American Summer.
No. Kaydra, did you go to any summer camps?
Yes, but I went to a lot of church summer camps.
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Mhm.
I went to
And I
Catholic
do
summer
have a
camp.
horror. Oh, you did?
Yeah. Wait, what's your
I do
story?
I feel like we got to
One
start going
horror
to these
story.
Jewish summer camps. Those are all the ones that are portrayed in the movies, and they seem awesome. And then the church summer camps maybe seem less awesome.
Yeah.
But you can tell me.
Like non-denominational Christian.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I can tell it whenever.
Please, go ahead.
But okay. So I think I would have been like in middle school. They would do a lot of like physical challenges. So one of the things we always did was crud night. And
What?
yeah, crud night. So you just like wear clothes you don't care about. And then you all go out in a field. And for kids' entertainment, you have like mustard, ketchup, just like random shit. And you just throw it at each other.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Sounds
wasteful.
entertaining.
And then you go back and shower.
Right.
So that was one of the things we always did. And I would get like mustard in my ears or whatever and like stuff up my nose. The craziest thing though was, and I didn't participate, but the bright idea was to buy a bunch of goldfish and like the actual fish.
Oh, I
the
thought you were
live-
talking Pepperidge Farm. Okay.
No, live fish.
No.
And they had the kids eat them.
No.
Why? Because I know for
wait,
a fact
who
that...
came up with this? The counselors?
I think one of the pastors,
Oh my.
Oh, boy.
Whoa.
What Station of the Cross was that?
right? a lot to unpack there.
What's crazy is that they make a goldfish, which is edible, which is, as we mentioned, but the only like bug eating, animal eating thing that was big when I was a kid was that book, like Fried Worms or whatever. Like,
How to Eat Fried Worms?
it was something like that, right? It was like a really popular book.
Yeah, I remember.
And so that I can see them being like, 'cause we had to do it in class or whatever one time, where like a teacher fried worms for us to eat.
Oh, that is a book. Yeah. How to
Yeah.
eat fried worms. Look
How
at
to
that
eat
kid.
fried worms? Yeah, that was a fucking hit.
Yeah, now
dude.
a major
That was like
motion
a-
picture. Although I couldn't have been that major because I don't remember.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, but
But yeah, so I'm saying, so like that I can be like, you know what, they made us eat worms, but this was, a monoculture. We all knew about this book, but the like, bring your own fucking goldfish to eat is so weird.
yeah.
Yeah, really, really weird. And they were live.
Yeah.
and I don't really understand what the point of it was. Like, eat a goldfish and then don't sin? Or
It was one of Jesus's lost commandments was if you've sinned, you must eat a goldfish. And then it was really more of a prank-based forgiveness scheme.
Yeah.
That's nuts, though. I mean, the only really scary stuff at Catholic church camp was just hormones because we all went like 6th, 7th grade. So it was really intense for those reasons. But no animal eating, no real ghost stories. So nothing to report, but I did have sort of the summer camp experience. I guess kids probably do now, but sort of like diners and hot rods and affordable housing and other things in Americana that are never coming back. I think summer camps might be lost a little to the public imagination.
No, I think they're still really popular. They're lost to the public imagination, but I think there's still tons of people I know who send their kids to summer camp.
Yeah, they're pretty popular in the South. I live in Texas, and I know a lot of families that still send their kids.
And straight up, all my Jewish friends send their kids to summer camp every year, just like they went. So it's like a rite of passage over there.
Yeah. Well, I was curious how and why summer camps began and how we got to where we are now. So I did a little digging around, and I thought we'd start kind of talking about the history of summer camps and where the horrors started. So I knew that the idea of sending kids out into the woods to like grow and toughen up, like a Vision Quest or Spartan training or whatever, like
great movie. Vision Quest has a couple things I would cut today, but a great movie with my girl Linda, dude, Fiorentino.
But the commodification of the idea that we're sending kids out into the woods seems like it could have its own horror connected to it. Like anybody who's like, yeah, you just give me $200 and I take your children into the woods for a week and don't ask me any questions. Seems like it could have been scary enough in and itself. I didn't find really any sort of a sordid predatory history, but I was surprised to discover that summer camps, especially in America, were born from fear, specifically the fear that the youth of America were, quote, dying from indoorness.
Oh shit! Well, I could say that today.
Yeah,
I could say that today,
have
baby.
That. I definitely have that.
Yeah, that should be written on our money.
Yeah. There's an Atlas Obscura article I found called "The Anxious History of the American Summer Camp," and it begins. In the summer of 1861, weeks after Confederate troops fired the first shots of the Civil War, educator and abolitionist Frederick Gunn assembled his own troops, about 30 boys and a dozen girls who were students at his Washington, Connecticut boarding school. Gunn, an early proponent of outdoor education, had led students on camping trips before, but this time he had something a little more regimented in mind.
Wait, are you going to get to the gunnery in this? I'm sorry to jump ahead.
No,
there's a very affluent private school in, I think, Washington, Connecticut called the Gunnery that my neighbors went to. Ed, and it was like crazy pricey.
You're getting ahead of yourself here.
I'm just asking because I'm sorry.
You're correct. We're getting to the Gunnery camp.
There you go. Okay, well now it's a really expensive school.
Slow down, Ed.
Sorry. I looked away for a second. And I came back and I heard things I knew.
Like the gathering Union forces, again, this was 1861, they would march 42 miles, to be exact, to a beach on the Long Island Sound, where they would set up camp, waking in the morning to a bugle call and falling asleep under the stars after singing patriotic songs by the fire.
Sick.
During the day, between fishing and foraging, they would perform military drills in preparation for their eventual service in the Union Army. The Gunnery Camp, as it came to be known, was so successful that Frederick Gunn, made a tradition out of it, and the American summer camp had begun.
Wow.
Tales of this seminal trip percolated throughout the East Coast and found purchase with a rapidly industrializing society. According to a history of summer camps on the National Park Service's website, quote, beginning in the early 19th century, American romantic and transcendental writers like Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson promoted the beauty and restorative effects of America's natural landscape, encouraging Americans to embrace the wilderness that they had otherwise sought to control and commodify since colonization. As the country developed over the century, many Americans became increasingly wary of the country's rapid urbanization and industrialization. So maybe it makes sense that we're still sending more and more kids to summer camp because, kids that are on TikTok playing Fortnite or Roblox or whatever, they need to get out and touch grass.
Yeah, and I think there was I had some neighbors growing up who did this thing called the Fresh Air Fund, where like you would sponsor a kid from the inner city to like live with you for a bunch of weeks in the summer for specifically that. Like they're from cramped tenement buildings and stuff, and then they get out with nature for, it's not a summer camp, you just live with like a weird family, but
yeah,
I'm saying like so it seems like for a while people have been trying to do this thing where it's like young people got to get out.
Yeah, a physician and Civil War veteran named Joseph Trimble Rothrock, so post-Civil War. This guy was alarmed by what he called, quote, weakly boys, which describes Ed and I.
Oh no!
Frail city kids he thought were literally
couple millhouses,
literally being weakened by indoor life.
Shit.
He founded the first independent summer camp in Pennsylvania's wilderness. I think it sounds pricey for the time. $200 for 4 months in the woods learning tough chores and survival skills.
I mean, Jesus.
His motive was to whip sickly boys into shape with manual labor and mountain air, because when Joseph Rothrock was a kid, he had a childhood illness that I couldn't find too much about, so maybe he was just dramatic and told everybody he was sick. But he felt that his illness had been cured by farm life. He was literally a back in my day kind of guy. He walked, this is true, 28 miles to get to the school he attended. So he walked 28 miles as a child to get there for Monday classes, and then he walked 28 miles home for the weekend.
Well, this is making my surprise in the road trips episode about those children that walked. I was like, 20 miles in the snow? No way. But this guy's doing it every day.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, twice a week. All
right, that's cool.
This really is like this is a story you would hear when someone's like, back in my day.
Yeah. I'm surprised it wasn't uphill both ways, but somehow he avoided that. The most miles I've ever walked is maybe 10.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Gotta be around there somewhere.
I mean, and that was, wait, were you lost? I think I'd probably put up numbers like that in New Orleans.
Ed's agreeing like he's walked 10 miles.
I've done it in New Orleans. Me and Max, our steps were off the charts when we were in New Orleans.
Charts.
Like so crazy. It was our phones broke. Our phones thought that someone stole our phones. Like the Apple was like, what happened here? like alert someone, the phone's been stolen. They're walking too much. And then when we got back to the hotel, like every place we had walked had like a stabbing that night. And we're like, wow, we narrowly avoided a ton of crime.
Oh my God.
Or you went around stabbing people.
Well, we weren't blackout drunk.
Okay. Yeah, so this guy walked a lot and thought that would help these kids, and he made a lot of money doing it. He saw nature basically as medicine for a generation of delicate, overstimulated Victorian children.
Overstimulated? They don't have a fucking Wii.
Well,
they had what? What did they have? What was the idle hands that were the devil's workshop for these kids?
They had porcelain dolls and brushes and sticks with hoops.
And it sounds like at this camp they weren't allowed to play. Like they couldn't even play marbles or jacks. They were like, "Get to work, you hooligan."
Yeah,
I'm sure there was no outgoing mail. There was no like letters home being like, "He beats me every day and makes me like build an extension on his weird house." Like. You know, these kids are just doing shit he needs done.
This is reminding me as we're talking that it was a long time ago, but it wasn't like a summer camp, but I did cover the Hell Camp documentary on Patreon. It was like a recap.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a lot of manual labor and bringing in like teenagers who had been acting out basically and rebelling against their parents. And so the parents would bring them in thinking that it was like these professionals who were going to rehabilitate their children, but like none of these people were qualified. And a lot of it was very abusive. So
yeah,
it's all the color game, right? It's like how people find a little bit of power and then it gets crazy.
There's a great there's a podcast called TrueAnon that I love, and they did a multi-part series on not the Hell Camp itself, but a very similar camp, because one of the hosts, when he was a kid, his parents sent him, and he had lived a very crazy life afterwards, but he has since gone back, and the podcast series is him ultimately trying to confront the guy who ran the camp to be like, do you know what you did to people? Like, do you understand what happened here? It's a great.
It was like,
great
no,
series.
the checks cleared.
Yeah.
Everything you said about this like fucking work camp reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of Simpsons is Camp Krusty. It has some literally like almost all my favorite lines are in like that I constantly quote, but like when Lisa's writing the letter home and she's like, dear mom and dad, I no longer fear hell because I've been to Camp Krusty. It's like in the letter.
As time moved on and we fought in more and more wars, camp changed for kids. And by the 1940s, some camps were extremely focused on crafting the next generation of American soldiers. And I found a reference to a June 1942 Camping Magazine article that I'm not making this up, suggested new activities for campers, including, quote, coordinating a camp defense unit and, quote, making a list of things you might want to do with your leisure time in a foxhole on the Bataan Peninsula.
Oh my God, that's incredible. That's incredible.
What the hell?
Meanwhile, the American Camping Association pledged to prioritize adolescent fitness for combat. So they really were thinking of these camps as
well, this is 41, right? So we got 3 or 4 more years of the war here. So they were like, you know, send us all your 14-year-olds so when they get out, they can go to
making
war.
A list of things you might want to do with your leisure time in a foxhole on the Bataan Peninsula. Is
fucking
just...
pray. It's the only thing you're going to want to do with your leisure time in a foxhole.
Yeah, that's bleak.
Yeah.
I mean, you can practice not making noise or lighting cigarettes.
Right?
Yeah.
Crying quietly.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you might guess, it wasn't long before tragedies struck these seemingly idyllic summer getaways and or militia training for babies, depending on which version you went to. The earliest summer camp horror tragedy that I could find happened on July 5th, 1906, so a couple of decades after summer camps got popular. And it wasn't just any kid that died. It was, I love this name, 18-year-old Hamilton Ham Twombly Jr., who happened to be the son of a prominent Vanderbilt family member.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that's why this was in the newspaper, because he was... Ham Twombly was a big deal around town.
Yeah, Ham, who grew up on a steady diet of poor kids' blood.
Yeah, and he needed the outdoors. He was an overstimulated rich kid. I guess maybe he had some advanced toys, but he was actually working as a camp counselor when he went for a swim on Squam Lake in New Hampshire, and was suddenly seized with cramps. Okay. According to the New York Times, who covered the death, quote, Twombly came to New Hampshire about 3 weeks ago with a number of others who had charge of a camp of a dozen or more boys from Groton School in Groton, Mass. Twombly was graduated from the school last month. Tonight, he started to swim from the camp to Carnes Cove, 1 mile distant. He had reached a point a short distance from the shore where the camp is situated when he was apparently seized with cramps. He was seen to struggle by several of the other boys, but before any of them could reach him, he had sunk. The body was recovered soon after the accident and brought to Ashland. His father and other relatives are expected here early in the morning on a special train for the purpose of taking the body to Newport.
Like Hogwarts.
So, I don't know. I think these other people killed him because I don't think cramps...
yeah.
Like, they're like, he seized up with cramps. By the
he
time
yelled out, oh no, my cramps.
What is it, 45 minutes or something?
Oh, after eating?
Our parents would always tell
eating?
us, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what he ate and how long he waited.
I'm sure he ate a ham sandwich of which he's named.
Yeah. Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not much else out there about this death other than a detail I caught on findagrave.com, which honestly, I'm surprised we've never used before on this show.
Haven't needed to.
I use it a lot.
Oh, shit. You have a premium account.
Find a Grave claims his death in the lake was the fault of a sudden heart failure, which is definitely more severe than cramps.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. I don't swim. I could end the sentence there. But it's like, don't swim like long distances. Be like, I'm going to swim a mile to that island.
Yeah, that seems
I don't care what.
crazy.
Yeah, but I think that's a thing people do. They have a little stopwatch and like, swim, kids.
At night, he tried to swim to Carnes. He tried to swim from camp to Carnes Cove, 1 mile distant. One
of my top 10 to top 20 favorite movies of all time, Gattaca, has a great night swimming scene, which also includes cramps, but nobody died in it.
I don't think. I mean, I'm no scientist. I'm no mortician, but I don't think too many people have ever died of cramps. But point being, I suspect this is not truly the first summer camp death in history. I
first
think
one covered up.
The first we have a record of. Yeah, because it befell someone of note. Like, kids had been going to camp for almost 40 years at this point, so there's no way no one slipped and fell off a cliff or like into a bear's mouth.
Got bit by a rattler.
Yeah, or something.
Now I'm thinking of Holes.
Oh, yeah, with Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. The yellow spotted lizards or whatever they're called.
Shit, man. Well, hopefully we got a lot of Holes heads out there listening.
It's such a good movie.
It's a good movie.
I don't think I was a little too old. Like, who wrote that book? Louis Sekar, the guy that did Sideways Stories from Wayside School, I think.
I'll take your word for it. I was reading the Worms book, bro.
I remember reading the book, but then by the time the movie came out, I think I was like a little too old for it, and I never went back and saw it. So
I was also too old for it, but I think I was watching older than I should have been, Even Stevens.
Loved Even Stevens.
And so I
shit.
I already had like a Shia LaBeouf thing going, so I was like, I'll check out his stuff. I'll check out Battle of Shaker Heights. You know what I mean? Like,
is this
like
going to be an
so.
Even Stevens fan episode? I've never seen it, but
I think the sister like maybe went to my high school or something, but
Christy
that might have been a lie.
Carlson Romano, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That might have been just a thing people said because there was nothing else going on in our town, so I never looked into it.
The next disaster I found ups the fear factor by a lot because this was no solo drowning. This was a Boy Scout camping trip that was washed away by a flood in March of 1929. Before we wade too deeply into that story, I think it's worth stopping to point out that it is not masked killers or vengeful ghosts or swamp monsters or fires or hurricanes or food poisoning or brain-eating amoeba that wreak havoc on summer camps the most. It is floods, flash floods to be exact. According to the research I did, at least 5 distinct flash flood incidents have hit U.S. summer camps since the 1920s, causing at least 83 fatalities. And obviously, I think most of you at this point are probably a few steps ahead of me. The most recent and worst example of these disasters happened just last month in July 2025 at an all-girls Christian camp called Camp Mystic in Texas. Now, I know Texas is a really big state, Kaydra, but are you anywhere near that or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I live in Austin, so I have had some patients that their homes or they know someone who had pretty significant flooding. I have been doing some fundraising on my page as well with the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. But yeah, I mean, it did happen very recently and it's very heavy. And I mean, it's going to take years for them to like rebuild everything. There's been so much damage and there's still hundreds missing that they don't know if they'll be able to find because there's just so much debris. Like it impacted the camp, obviously, but then that whole county as well.
Oh, wow. So it went through like towns.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I saw the video of the river that rose like 30 feet in 40 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that and I knew it was really bad. I was surprised to find out. I mean, we'll do a quick kind of like recap of what happened at Camp Mystic. But as I was researching Camp Mystic, because I knew I had to touch on it, I was surprised by how many references I was finding to summer camps that have been hit by flash floods, because I don't think of that. Well, and then I stopped and I was like, well, it does make sense because you're outside, you're probably near something that you want to fish in or swim in. So it does kind of make sense that you build a summer camp near a river or a lake. I mean, I guess lakes don't really flash flood, but certainly rivers and creeks and stuff, it sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you aren't familiar with this disaster, I mean, we do have to touch on it. It is heavy. So, you know, we won't be try to be funny about it, but the reality here is that in the early hours of July 4th, torrential rains caused the nearby river, which I think was the Guadalupe River.
I think so.
Flooded at insane speeds. And this is what you might have seen on the news like I did. The river rose almost 26 feet in 45 minutes, which is basically just like a tsunami that starts inland instead of out at sea. There's no escaping that, really. Like that is so fast. I think back to the fire that happened here and how long it took me to get out of my house from the moment that an alert came through. And to be fair, I hadn't prepared to leave my house, so I didn't have a go bag or anything, but it took me longer than 45 minutes to get out of my house. Like that is lightning speed when it comes to a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
According to ABC News, Camp Mystic's executive director, Dick Eastland, began evacuating campers approximately 45 minutes after the National Weather Service issued an alert about a life-threatening flash flood. Eastland received an alert on his phone at 1:14 in the morning and began evaluating whether to evacuate the campers who were sleeping in their cabins without access to electronics. Based on a preliminary timeline of events, Eastland began moving campers to higher elevation by 2 a.m. as the situation began to deteriorate. Quote, they had no information that indicated the magnitude of what was coming. They got a standard run-of-the-mill National Weather Service warning that they've seen dozens of times before, Eastland family spokesperson Jeff Carr said on a call with ABC News. And the flood ended up killing 27 campers and counselors, including Dick Eastland. And as Kaydra just said, there's still hundreds of people missing. So we'll put a link to, I guess maybe the best charity or help, Kaydra, would be maybe whatever you have, the one that you have a link to. We'll put a link in ours.
Yeah, I can send it to you. The Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. And that has also been backed by like CNN and everything. It's going directly to Kerr County, which is where Camp Mystic was and where the bulk of the damage was. And I know some other good places that you can donate as well. So I can send those to you.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, we'll have that in the show notes. And hopefully it's better than the wildfire relief ones, which we have so much information about how like nobody's getting that money.
Oh, geez.
So hopefully it's better than that.
Yeah.
But I will imagine it will be, and I'll cut this if it isn't. You know what I'm saying? But like
I always try to make sure it's something really reputable if I'm like recommending people go donate somewhere. So it
I know this was
like,
reputable.
Yeah,
it's just we get so much fucking nonsense that gets in the way of this shit.
Right. Yeah.
What's really tragic is that this is not the first time an event like this has happened just along the Guadalupe River. This was the first other major flash flooding incident I ran into. Happened in 1987 at the Pot of Gold Ranch, which was another church summer camp near Comfort, Texas. A severe storm hit the area, and according to a recounting of the event from a Fox News article I found, quote, local law enforcement tried to warn camp officials of a flood wave moving toward the camp, with authorities ultimately deciding to evacuate the children. Shortly after leaving, the caravan of buses encountered rapidly rising waters, forcing the drivers to take an alternate route. And this is where it gets even crazier. As the line of buses were evacuating, the last vehicle in the group was overtaken by the flood waters, forcing those on board to try to wade to safety. As the campgoers and chaperones made their way to dry land by forming a human chain, several individuals were swept away by the fast-moving deluge. A total of 39 teenagers and 4 adults were carried away by the floodwaters, with 10 of the teens drowning. The remaining survivors were subsequently rescued, some by helicopter, and taken to safety. And then I also found a report that one of the teenagers died from falling out of the helicopter, but then it seems like that actually was just made up for a TV movie about the rescue efforts. So I don't think a teen actually fell out of the helicopter.
Jesus.
I mean, more people watched that TV movie than read the article, so that's why it's part of the canon of that event now.
Yeah. But all of that brings us back to an early summer camp tragedy in 1929 in Rockwood, Tennessee. And I was particularly interested in this one because there's actually a first-person account of it written by Lloyd Garrison McLuhan, who was a 13-year-old scout in Troop Number 45 at the time and would go on to be mayor of Rockwood, Tennessee as an adult. Wow. So this kid lived a little mini Forrest Gump-style life here. But he wrote a really long piece. I'm only going to quote partially from it. The gist is, at 4 a.m., all these floods coming in the middle of the goddamn night.
Yeah, well, because you keep using the Lord's name in vain, and it's going to now continue to happen in the middle of the night, you piece of shit.
At 4 a.m., the river rose and the Boy Scouts started signaling. This, again, 1929. So this is, it was definitely difficult for these modern rescue efforts to be undertaken when people's cell phone service wasn't working and all this stuff. But these guys didn't even have an idea what a radio... Well, I guess they knew a radio, but they didn't have one. They signaled for help with Morse code. They tried to get the attention of some lights they saw on a nearby bridge, but whoever was on that bridge apparently couldn't see them, and it didn't matter anyway because by 6 a.m., the entire bridge was swept away, and that truly unleashed this wall of water and debris. McLuhan's account then says, shortly thereafter, the garage and Delco house washed away. Scoutmaster Jim Wright's new Chrysler 77 coupe came floating by.
Woo!
I know. Sick car.
Because, what is it, 27, 28?
29.
1929. So the Model T just stopped being a thing. So we have like other cars now. It's very exciting. It's very exciting that, unfortunately they were swept away, but people must have been like, holy smokes, is that a Chrysler?
It was worth this 13-year-old writing it down. So he noticed. But this is what starts to sound like a full-on disaster movie. So the Chrysler comes floating by, the bungalow starts breaking up. Quote, a chimney cracked, and they're in the bungalow. So a chimney cracked and part of it fell in. At this time, I moved to the top of the far bedroom. There was a loud crack, and the bedroom on which James Cole and I were standing seemed to pull upstream against the current away from the main part of the house. Several of the boys fell through into the water, and the bedroom portion then crashed back into them. So they are in a moving house that is being pulled away and pulled apart as it's being pulled away by this flood. The side of the roof on which James Cole and I were standing kept tilting, causing the roof to roll, so we kept running around trying to keep it balanced as we floated downstream.
Jesus.
So this is like... those old silent movies where you see someone like running on a log?
Yeah,
trying to keep I think it was kind of like that. Like they were trying to balance out the roof so that they wouldn't be too heavy on one side.
Also, silent movies were just about to be a thing of the past. This was the last. They better make the movie of this that year to get to really bring the yucks on that scene.
Buster Keaton presents.
Yeah.
So the roof on which they were standing kept tilting. They kept running around trying to keep it balanced. The two of us floated on this entire room and continued downstream for approximately a quarter mile until we hit some trees and debris. This knocked the bottom and sides of the room out, but still left us a good portion of the roof on which we could ride. Again, this is escalating like a Steven Spielberg action scene here. The house continues to be knocked apart. As we rode downstream, we noticed Paul Hickey and Jack Tarwater clinging to trees floating ahead of us. As we rounded the bend opposite the Calvin James property, we suddenly were thrown into a pine thicket, and we did not see Paul or Jack anymore after that. As I started to follow Jimmy Cole up a pine tree, I heard a cry for help. I looked over about 10 feet where I saw Roy Green. I came out of the tree and started for him, but before I had taken 2 strokes, something had hit Roy from beneath, and he was gone.
Ugh.
So all in all, 8 Boy Scouts, Scoutmaster Jim Wright, and Jim Wright's sick Chrysler 77 were lost in the flood. And in 1932, a memorial was dedicated on the site of the tragedy. And I only bring this up because a photo was taken of the grown survivors at the site. And holy shit, what a collection of hunks. Ed, I'm going to open this photo because everyone needs to look at this.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see what's going on.
Oh, wow. Okay, sure. This is not what I thought it would be. One moment. You can keep talking while I get this up on the screen.
I think this photo maybe proves that summer camp really is good for young men, because I'd say about half these guys look like, like sometimes you look at an old photo and you know that probably some of them were attractive for the time, but you can't really say for sure. Some of these guys, like this guy just to the right of center with the suspender straps, he looks like a movie star.
He does. Yeah, there's some cute guys in here.
The guy right below him looks like a movie star. Like they all they're doing okay. They were, so, whatever experiences they had at summer camp, really worked out for this crew because they look like they should have all gone to Hollywood to star in the movie.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they lived an adventure movie in real life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, they're like the Doolittle Raiders, you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting that they met back up years later to get the picture taken.
Yeah. This also like reminded, when you said 1929, I was like, well, that's also when the Great Depression started.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like the disaster. I was like visualizing this is like the illustration of what then happens to our economy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This chimney wouldn't have broken apart if these billionaires in New York didn't.
Yeah.
If that Vanderbilt Ham kid's family didn't take everything.
No girls were depressed around these guys.
No girls were allowed around these guys, I'm pretty sure, at these camps at this era. Like,
That's true. That's true. So summer camp maybe really is good for young men, but it is really not good for young women because our next two summer camp horror stories happened at girls' camps, and these both start to wade into perplexity, mystery, true crime territory. Ed, the first one strikes awfully close to your homeland.
again?
Did you know, Ed, that the oldest unsolved missing persons case in Connecticut revolves around a disappearance from a summer camp?
No, I didn't even know there were summer camps in Connecticut. I thought that was a school.
Well, yeah,
when you mentioned it earlier, like I didn't know it was a camp.
You knew the gunnery camp.
I knew the gunnery, but I didn't know. No, it's not a camp. It's like a really fancy school.
I'd
like
never
a
heard
school. You'd go to like a high school.
Well, maybe was it founded as a camp and then became a school? That's where I'm a little unclear.
It sounds like it was founded as a camp potentially, yeah. Or the guy just had multiple. He's like, I love having kids around. I don't know, and he just started making more and more institutions for children.
Wowza. Turns out the gunnery is old as shit. As far as private high schools go, the school opened in 1850 and then added the camp element later in 1861 to whip these kids into shape by punching trees and wrestling water snakes. Ed assumes he didn't read anything beyond learning those dates.
But yeah, it's like a really fancy school, but in line with this old way of summer camping is my buddy Richie went there, and you have to play 3 sports. Like you have to play a sport every season. There's like all these rules. Mm-hmm. And like you can't just be like you can't be reading fucking manga in the corner like a fucking shut-in there.
Rules, just like a horror movie has rules.
Yeah.
And when things go wrong, they go very wrong. At the gunnery camp school.
I don't know. We should write that.
We should. So, Ed, I'd never heard of this case before. Kaydra, if as I'm speaking, you remember this or something, like jump in, but it does seem sort of obscure. It's eerie, and part of the reason I wanted to include it in this episode is because it almost feels like a real-life campfire story about a girl who walked into the woods and was never seen again. According to chipchick.com, quote, Constance Connie Smith, a 10-year-old from Wyoming, was supposed to spend 4 weeks of the summer of 1952 at YMCA's Camp Sloan in Salisbury, Connecticut.
I'm sorry, YMCA, the Young Men's Christian whatever?
Apparently.
Like, why wouldn't it be the YW or whatever? It's ladies, girls camp.
Ed, I don't know. My the knowledge of that has also disappeared apparently because there was no indication why the YMCA was sponsoring this camp. But we do know that about 3 weeks into Connie Smith's stay, she vanished without a trace. Leading up to her disappearance, her mother, Helen Smith, had visited Camp Sloan around July 13th for her birthday, and Connie was supposedly in good spirits. She reportedly asked to stay at the summer camp for another month, but her mother refused, and she appeared okay with that.
Huh.
Then, 2 nights later, on the night of July 15th, Connie got into a fight with her tent mates, which was nasty enough to break her glasses and leave her with a bloody nose that needed icing.
Whoa.
Oh.
So that's a real sudden turn from, hey, I want to stay here another month, to kind of getting her ass kicked over something. No one's entirely sure what the fight was about.
I know exactly what it's about. You got a young girl, could be a young boy, whatever. They're away from home, young love. I want to stay here for another month. I met this young girl, this young boy. Could even be all girls, whatever. Love is love. But fucking then the person she's into is now interested in this other person who's breaking her glasses. I'm saying I can see how like a love triangle can start with I want to live here forever and end with my glasses are broken, this bitch punched me.
Sure.
I can see that's the only way I can see it.
I mean, we're going to have to run that by the FBI. I'm not sure that holds up to
Why the
scrutiny.
FBI? There's not kidnapping involved in this.
Missing persons.
Yeah.
Is that enough for them?
Yeah, a lot of the time, yeah.
Shit, man.
That's we'll file that under loose theories that Ed.
I mean,
Ed has
to me, it just seemed like a
if there is
no-brainer.
evidence that they could have been taken across state lines or there's some type of connection outside of the state, then yeah, the FBI could get involved.
Yeah. Well, whatever caused the fight,
Young love. It's been established.
the next morning, Connie's friends went to breakfast, and Connie decided to stay back. She claimed she was going to bring the ice pack that she'd put on her nose back to the nurse, but Connie never made it to the nurse. She left behind her broken glasses and the ice pack in her tent and was seen walking away from camp down Indian Mountain Road at about 8:15 in the morning. Weirdly, another kind of strange detail, according to a second source, the Connecticut Missing Persons Substack, quote, "It was the first day of a heat wave with morning temperatures nearing 80 degrees, but Connie was wearing a long-sleeve shirt, a bright red windbreaker, and shorts." So a little overdressed for the weather. A local couple told police Connie was seen picking wildflowers along the side of the road. Two other local residents reported Connie had stopped by their houses to ask directions to Lakeville. Near Route 44 and Belgo Road, about a mile and a half north of camp, Connie was seen with her thumb in the air, supposedly trying to hitchhike, another witness told police.
That's why the FBI is involved.
And after that, she disappeared.
Oh, no. And this is, what year was this?
This was 1952.
And this is, we just did the, road trips. This was like peak the FBI releasing crazy material, being like, could they be a sex fiend? Don't get in anyone's car.
Yeah, Kaydra, there was, when we covered hitchhiking on road trips, I found a really wild illustration that the FBI had done, and I think it was then printed in like newspapers and magazines, because up until this time, hitchhiking was considered pretty normal.
Yeah.
There'd been one or two cases. I forget when
Cockeye did his business.
Cockeye Joe or whatever. Yeah, did his bit. There was one really nasty hitchhiker. But other than that, for the most part, it was considered like pretty standard.
Nobody had
around.
Cars.
Right? Yeah, no, I mean, it was
cars.
pretty normal through like the 80s, I would say, right? Like 70s, 80s.
Yeah, it went back and forth with like kind of little waves of panics about hitchhikers. But yeah, well into the 70s and 80s, it was still a practice that was not totally uncommon. And so this girl, had no real reason to not be hitchhiking. Other than, she, I guess some people kind of point to, well, she had just said she wanted to stay, so why did she leave? But she got in a fight. So police at the time searched the nearby forest and local trails. Volunteer riders searched the area on horseback, and planes were enlisted to fly over Salisbury, but no trace was ever found of Connie. Her parents, Peter and Helen Smith, flew to Connecticut and assisted with the search and offered a $3,000 reward at the time for finding their daughter, or a $1,000 reward for the recovery of her body.
That's like 5 stays in that work camp guys thing.
Yeah. You could send one kid for a bunch of months to that guy's.
Oh, yeah. They can basically live in his weird work camp.
Mm-hmm.
Given the eyewitness testimony, it does seem pretty clear that Connie, to me, there's people who have floated somebody at the camp was maybe involved. It did take them a little bit longer than you would imagine to call the cops when they noticed she was missing, but not like a crazy, I think it was like 6 hours or something. So not like a crazy amount of time.
Yeah. My only question with that was, you said that someone had seen her leave the camp that morning.
Yeah.
And then she was later spotted in the field by like neighbors or locals or something.
Yeah,
so
she was banging on doors.
Do we know who saw her leave the camp in the morning?
No, that's a good question. The Connecticut Missing Persons Substack notes that she was wearing
that red
It
ass.
notes what she was wearing when she left the camp, a long sleeve shirt, and then everything else is just like a local couple saw her picking wildflowers. Other locals reported Connie stopping by their house to ask for directions. But yeah.
I mean, if she also broke the other girl's glasses in the fight, you can't trust her eyewitness testimony. You got 2 girls who can't fucking see in this equation.
That's true. But it does, to answer your question, it doesn't note who saw her walking away from the camp. Although I don't know that it was anyone at camp, because she was seen walking away from camp down Indian Mountain Road. So somebody on Indian Mountain Road might have just seen her walking in the opposite direction from camp. So it seems pretty clear to me that Connie was just sick of camp and decided to hitchhike out of town. But as to who picked her up, if anyone, no one knows, and her case went ice cold almost immediately. In the years that followed Connie's disappearance, authorities received numerous tips regarding her case ranging from upstate New York, Vermont, Cincinnati, Alabama, and Montreal. A few possible suspects came under scrutiny. First was William Henry Redmond, a former carnival worker who'd strangled Jane Marie Althoff, an 8-year-old from Pennsylvania, just a year prior.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, he's just out in the world?
Yeah.
Strangling 8-year-olds? He's out in the world?
He was charged in that case. He wasn't charged in the strangling until 1988. So he strangled the 8-year-old and was, I guess, not caught for 30-something years.
Oh, okay. Got you. I'm about to say, was this Los Angeles modern day this happened, where they just let you go immediately?
No. And I don't know that the if you strangle a child in LA that they're like, yeah, you know what?
Come on,
slap
man.
on the wrist. I think that's
That's
more for graffiti, littering.
You don't know. You're not there. You don't know how busy it is.
But if you smoke weed, you're going to be in jail the rest of your natural life, okay?
That's your life.
That's true. Well, not in LA, but in Texas.
Not in
Not
LA.
in LA, but yeah. Not anymore.
In Texas, you will.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's no good, man.
So he was this guy, William Henry Redmond, was charged in the strangling case in 1988, and investigators suspected he might have been in the Lakeville region at the time of Connie's disappearance. Moreover, he allegedly admitted to killing 4 people during his lifetime while speaking to a fellow prison inmate, and some people suspect that Connie might have been one of those 4, although he never gave any indication that was the case. A second, even stranger lead popped up when police looked into 2 additional suspects, Frederick Pope and Jack Walker. Frederick, who worked as a traveling jewelry salesman, allegedly spoke to the Ohio police and confessed to knowing Connie's whereabouts. He claimed that he and his associate, Jack Walker, had picked up Connie on Route 44 and promised to give her a ride to Wyoming. Then, Frederick alleged that Walker murdered the 10-year-old in Arizona, and so he then used a tire iron to beat Walker to death.
I'm sorry. Connecticut to Arizona? That's not even a route to Wyoming.
Ed, you got to call the cops and let them know, because I didn't.
Fuck, man. They don't know. They don't think they have maps.
I don't know why they would have taken that route. Yeah. So Fred and Jack picked Connie up on Route 44, promised to give her a ride to Wyoming. And then in Arizona, Fred alleged that Jack murders the girl and then he murders Jack because of what he did to Connie. Now, initially, this seems like a major break in Connie's case, but further investigation by the cops reveal no record of a man named Jack Walker or the woman they were supposedly traveling with, Wilma Sames. Faced with the evidence that these 2 people never existed, Frederick recanted his story and admitted it was a hoax.
What the fuck?
Now, I'm kind of surprised that, another reading of this story is that Frederick Pope murdered this girl, and to get it off his chest, said he was on a road trip with 2 fake people and said that they did it and that he was the hero who killed them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, when you said he killed his friend, I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah. I don't even think the guy kills his friend in cold blood, does he? I mean, it's friendship it's difficult to, I don't know.
I just don't really foresee that being a thing. He said he was his associate. So I suppose when you're not really close with, if you see them hurting a child, then yeah, you would
you'd be like, hey, bud.
I'm just trying to think, if you don't know this child, I feel like you would beat the shit out of them, but you wouldn't be murdering. Do you get what I'm saying? The lines don't really connect where I'm like, that's not logical.
Also, I don't jump in a fucking 13-state road trip with an associate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what feels to me like he wanted to confess to a murder, but he wanted to confess to a righteous murder and not what he actually did. Yeah. And also, Jack Walker and Wilma Sames are one step past Ben Smith as as fake names that you would just
Those
make
are
up.
like DC characters or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if I were the cops, I would have investigated that a little further, but it doesn't seem like that thread was ever really followed up on after he admitted that it was a hoax, quote unquote.
Shocker.
Yeah, I think solving any crime is hard. I told you about the story when I was a kid with the police officer I won't mention. My mom was a police dispatcher. She would get like picked up by cops to like go to work. And this cop, whose name I won't tell you, like I've said this in the show before, but like he like turned to me when I was a child, and he was like, "Do you want to get away with murder?" And I was like, "I'm just trying to eat cereal." And he looked defeated in something in his life, and he was like, "Just do it alone and don't tell anyone you did it." He's like, everyone we catch is like someone rats on someone else. Like solving crimes is hard.
Was he like trying to threaten you for some reason? Because
no, I think he was just like having a bad day and assumed that I was maybe not old enough to remember this as a core memory.
Yeah, I guess. Because that's a real, if you are a police officer and you are alone with somebody and you tell them the way to get away with murder is kill somebody when you're alone with them, that's a real.
But if it's a kid doing like a maze on the back of a cereal box, you probably are just like you're venting to someone that's like, this is never gonna get back to you.
I guess, yeah. Well, all right, listeners, don't ever say that to a kid.
Yeah.
Let's put that on the list of things you don't say to children.
But I do think about that every time I see anything on the news where it's like 13th day still missing. I'm like, yeah, I think it's really hard. And I think we just television and movies make it seem like we solve crimes.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, Kaydra, you probably know more about this than we do, but I feel like I've read stuff before about how lots of murders go unsolved and lots of murders that are solved, there's a lot of questions sometimes around confessions and, was someone maybe railroaded, or did the cops just kind of pick a suspect and then focus on that person to the exclusion of everything else and go, we got our guy? Because so many cops are, they want to clear murders especially, and sometimes that doesn't necessarily come at the expense of actual justice sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the cases I cover, there ends up being some level of sloppy police work and poor investigation. So I have my own personal opinions about that. So I'm a little bit biased with that. But I do remember there being some statistics that I've looked at before of like how many people go missing each year and like how many of those people come back. And then there were also like some homicide statistics. And I mean, they fluctuate every year. But right now it's kind of like 50-50, like about 50% of homicides are solved. And then others just, they go missing. And it's a lack of resources too and funding, but at the same time, I think that there has to be some leeway with that and like what we're prioritizing. And
it's something tells me that if cops generally, or individual locales, precincts, whatever, were ever faced with the actual rate of crimes that are actually solved correctly, like if we could be like a godlike knowledge and go, yep, you got that one right, you got that one wrong, I feel like people, I don't know, my gut tells me people would be horrified by how many we get wrong. And that's human. People always say our justice system isn't perfect, but we do the best we can. But I was watching Netflix has some kind of cheapo Son of Sam documentary that they just put up last night, and I had it on for a little bit, and there were some New York City cops from the 1970s, and this one guy was like, yeah, every other night there was gunfire and murders, and you know what, back then we solved a lot of murders. I was like, yeah, because you just pointed at the closest minority and we're like, that guy, he did it. Like,
right.
1974 New York City, I don't think was, they just wanted to solve the crimes, at least on paper.
Well, exactly.
Also, the 1970s New York was so crazy.
It was nuts.
It was a demilitarized zone.
That's the other thing I was going to say is like, solved and actual justice are two very different things. Like one of the things that I say a lot is that, in my opinion, police often care more about closing a case than actually solving it.
Yeah.
But I will say in like this case, it sounds like it would have been really hard because there's not really a lot of witnesses, and it sounds like she probably crossed state lines. But at the same time, you have this guy who's like implicating himself in knowing her and having been involved in some way. So I would hope that they would have looked at him pretty hard.
Well, and get this, here's the kicker on the story. On Halloween 1958, the body of an 11 to 17-year-old girl was found in the Grand Canyon, which is in Arizona.
Oh, shit.
The remains were initially thought to be those of a full-grown man, which is doubly interesting because Connie was really large for her age. She was 5 feet tall and 85 pounds when she disappeared.
And what was her age?
She was 10.
I'll just take your word for it. I don't know.
And so when I say really large, I just mean like people have said that they think one of the reasons she might have been picked up by a person with ill intent is that if you glanced at her, you might have thought she was 16 or something, like walking down the street. That's what people said at the time.
Yeah, well, at the time, that was well beyond the age of consent, so I think we're more than one Beatles song says as much.
Little Miss X, this body was estimated to be about 5 foot to 5'3" and 105 pounds. There's a lot of back and forth about the forensic details and how the DNA was inconclusive, so it's really uncertain as to whether or not Little Miss X is Connie.
Oh, we're just walking around comfortable calling someone Little Miss X?
Well, that's how they refer to
That's
her.
the official moniker?
It's a string.
Ugh. It's like the same guy that named Daddy Longlegs.
I mean, like, why are they not calling her like a Jane Doe or like,
yeah,
like you know, the Lady of the Dunes, which she did get identified not too long ago, but
right.
The Lady of the, and then wherever they're found, you know, like Little Miss X is
Little Miss X,
strange.
it's such a snark to it. It's like, oh, Little Miss X said she'd live forever. Like,
I'll clarify. I did not come up with Little Miss X. That's the term they were using, but we can call her the Lady of the Canyon.
Sure, well, be better. Thank you.
I think it's, again, Frederick said that Jack Walker killed Connie in Arizona. So, you know, that seems like we really should have focused on that, but they didn't. And the DNA was inconclusive. And I believe they misplaced the body at some point.
Good. Smart.
So they can't go back and test it now. Now, again, this detail I include just because I think it shows how in an unsolved crime, it's easy to be pulled in a lot of directions where there's no real answer. But a nail file was found with the initials PR. The P was inscribed and the R was written on with like a marker or something. And investigators then believed that the body was possibly that of a girl named Pinky Redmond, who was last seen with her boyfriend earlier in 1958, the year that this body was found.
Who was last seen in a Tex Avery cartoon? That's no one's name.
But that theory was then also ruled out for what I could only find described as unknown reasons. But there are, I think, like 3 or 4 different potential IDs for the Lady of the Canyon. And all of them have like decent evidence, and she's obviously only one or possibly none of them. And I think that's one of those things where a lot of times when you think about an unsolved case or crime, the ones that don't get solved, I think sometimes are the ones where the coincidences are too bizarre to weed through. You know, you find someone sort of with the clothes of one girl, but a thing with the initials of another girl, but she's too tall to be the third girl.
Yeah, it's like a fact is stranger than fiction type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was wondering about was like belongings or clothing, and then dental records.
Yes. So with this, I didn't write this down in my notes, but in the reading I did, there was some discussion of the family of Connie. At least I think her sister believes that the body is hers because of a gap in her front teeth, but I don't know that they ever like officially compared dental records. But the sister at least feels that the gap in the teeth was identification enough. The clothes that were on the body were not the clothes that she left in. But again, if she'd been on the road for a couple of months or, you know, who knows, years possibly.
Yeah, so at the way she was growing, it sounds like she's going to grow out of that red slicker pretty quick.
Yeah, they're like, she should have been 6 feet tall at this point. But anyway, yeah, it's an unsolved mystery that I think haunts a lot of people still just because of that. Not a lot of people just disappear off the face of the earth. And Connie Redmond disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
This is an idea I'm having right now, and I'm realizing as soon as it entered my brain, this is not going to help anyone. But maybe we should be doing some sort of like, I almost said livestock auction. That seems even worse. But some sort of like auction where anytime someone finds a skeleton, you should be able to have like a national database being like, anyone looking for this skeleton? Like, she was wearing her hat. Is anyone looking for someone in this hat? She's got like a Swiss Army knife with these initials in it. We found them at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
I know there's a national missing persons database, I think, but I don't know about like remains.
Yeah, I'm saying I think we should have some sort of remains auction. Not auction in the sense that like it's the wrong word. It's not like, oh, I'll give you $8 to own that.
Yeah, you keep using the term auction like it's something you're going to put in your house.
Yeah, but something where it's just like, you know, going once, going twice, going 3 times. We're going to dump this body into an incinerator. Is anybody looking for something that matches this?
Well, I think you might have a lot more luck getting people to invest in that system if you lose the going once, going twice. We're going to put the body in incinerator part. And maybe
no, but if you make it a television show on fucking CBS or Fox, as in like, whose body is this? People will tune in.
So part of the National Missing Persons database, NAMUS, is the Unidentified Persons database.
Okay.
So maybe that's what you need, Ed.
I think I'm going to have to turn this into a show.
I think a lot of this the interstate cooperation between cops really was something that got started as we became aware of serial killers and stuff in like the 70s and 80s. So it's a fairly recent development. You'd think it would have advanced more quickly with computers and the internet, but then I go, well, we still have trouble digitizing everyone's medical records, and it's 2025, so it's not surprising to me that we still don't have a really... It does seem like something that would be pretty easy to set up, but
apparently it costs money.
It does cost
no
money.
one wants to spend it. I mean, how many episodes you've seen like Zodiac and stuff where it's like, oh, I think I saw that person. Go through all these boxes of faces that have been like that we pulled out of the back of this police precinct.
Yep.
And it's like, who the fuck's doing that? But I can also see, just digitizing that would be a vibe. But you got to pay someone, not even a livable wage. That should be, what we need to do? Instead of compulsory military service in this country, we should have some compulsory service, which is like mandated for 2 years after you're 18, when you turn 18. And it's fucking scanning missing people. And you get paid for it. And it's like life experience. And college will always be there. It won't help you anyway.
Sure.
So... fucking do that. Let's get some kids fucking scanning missing kids.
Man, as AI replaces more and more jobs, that's actually not a bad job idea, because then you can have AI sort through all the information.
After this kid's scanned it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got one more big case to cover, and this is sort of this.
Oh, I'm sorry. $1 more $1 million idea, you mean?
This is
because I'm sure
this is going to be the last episode of this show, because Ed is about to become a bazillionaire with his corpse auction.
They just accepted my resume at Palantir.
When we talk about summer camp horror, most of us aren't thinking about natural disasters or disappearances. We're thinking about what we see in the movies, killers. Like I mentioned earlier, actually, I don't know that I mentioned this earlier, but I meant to mention earlier that in the tri-state area, especially around Long Island, there's a very popular urban legend about Cropsy, who's basically like a boogeyman that people tell the tale around campfires at summer camps.
I guess it's important for our audience to know, when I think tri-state area, I think New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. What do you think right now?
Me?
No, I'm sorry, Chris. I'm asking Chris, the person who spoke the words.
I think New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, but Long Island would be New York, correct?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I didn't know if there was a different tri-state area. If you're like, as a Pennsylvanianite or whatever the hell you're called.
No.
It was like, it's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and fucking who knows what.
Well, in Pennsylvania, they may actually consider... we didn't have Cropsy in Pennsylvania, I can tell you that. So that area has Cropsy, who's a boogeyman that people talk about around the campfire. Other places have tales of the Hook Man, an escaped mental patient with a hook for a hand, who often lurks in the woods of summer camps looking for victims. What's really scary, though, is that there is real-life precedent for summer camps becoming slaughterhouses, and the reality is so much worse than the movies. And Ed, we may even want to put a little warning here, because we won't get too graphic, but this summer camp murder is pretty fucked up.
Fucking grisly? So you're saying I should pee before we get started?
Yeah, if you want.
I don't want to get so scared I fucking pee.
You definitely should drink another Michelob.
Don't worry, I'll have more. But this is the kind of reason why we can't release video. I will be back in 1 minute.
There we go. I hear the Michelob.
Disclaimer: the following story includes discussions, albeit brief, of physical and sexual abuse. Listener discretion advised.
All right, Ed. So, Ed and Kaydra, in 1977, at a Girl Scout camp near Locust Grove, Oklahoma, 3 little girls, Lori Lee Farmer, 8, Michelle Goose, 9, and Doris Denise Milner, 10, were sexually assaulted and murdered in the middle of their first night at camp. It's pretty much the worst crime imaginable at what is supposed to be a safe place for summer fun, and it rocked the entire country to its core. According to AmericanHauntings.org, Camp Scott was a magical place for the girls who came there for summer retreats. It'd been offering hiking, crafting, swimming, and much more for brownies and Girl Scouts since 1928. Its 410 acres accommodated 140 campers and 30 staff, and the Cookie Trail Road led to 10 camping sites that were scattered throughout the woods. The campers were allowed to pick their, quote, camp buddies, and each tent was 14 by 12 feet with a base constructed of wood and covered with canvas. It was in one of these tents, the one furthest from the counselors' units, that the crime took place. American Haunting also reports that, quote, there had been ominous warning signs that something was not quite right at Camp Scott. 2 months before the camp had opened for the season, counselors were there for a training session. While it was going on, one of the tents was ransacked and a handwritten note was left behind. Now, this part is straight out of a horror movie. The note read, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1, signed the killer."
I'm sorry, what? This came before the murder?
This came before the murders, a note that read, quote, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1, signed the killer."
I mean, you gotta close the camp.
And in the most...
Hold on, when you said sign the killer, they signed it or signed the words the killer?
The killer.
It was signed by the words, the killer.
Well, I don't like that because the body of the note is that we are on a mission, and then it's signed by just one person who's claiming to do the killing?
Well,
so are we on a mission to kill girls, or is one guy
The
named...
grammar police.
Yeah, the only police, it sounds like, who are going to investigate this. So...
Well, here's the insane part, and the most, like, horror movie aspect of maybe this whole story is that the note was believed to be a joke, and it was thrown away.
Wow.
Oh,
so...
Wow, you're crumpling that? Kidding me?
That is, I mean, you see that in movies all the time, right? Like someone who's like, quit playing around, kids. Like, what's going, and they ignore the obvious glaring sign that something awful is going to happen. And apparently that literally happened in this case. Somebody had left this note.
And they found that in a ransacked tent. Was that like the same? Do we know if that was like the exact area?
It was the exact area. I don't know that it was the exact tent. And I'm pretty sure one of the differences here is, if I have my reading of the area straight, tent 1 was actually the tent closest to the counselors, and the tent that the girls were killed in was furthest.
Oh, so it might be about distractionary note, like the way the cartel uses holes in the border fence. Where it's like,
what?
Oh, drop people off over here so that Border Patrol goes that way and then you can do whatever. I'm saying, so you're like, hey, I'm going to be at tent 1 slashing up girls. So if they did take it seriously, they go to tent 1 and then they're over there slashing at tent 15 with relative
I think
ease.
More likely it's that if this note is real and left by the real killer, that they just confused the order of the tents. They thought the furthest was tent 1 and the closest was tent 8 or whatever.
Or they knew that the counselors were staying in that tent. And you know how like the Zodiac wrote letters, for example, like they want recognition for their crimes.
Yeah. And they're not all complete idiots, these people who commit murder.
Yeah,
No.
unless you sign your note the killer, then you are kind of an idiot, in my opinion.
I mean, this guy...
You'd be more of an idiot if you signed it like Ben Stevens, 112 Banana Street or whatever, like gave your actual information. But yeah, he at least had a little bit of mystique with the killer.
One of the most stomach-churning details about this whole case is how close the counselors were to stopping the murders, because Counselor Carla Wilhite was startled awake by weird guttural noises from the dark on the night of the murders.
Oh, no. If you're going to tell me that she yelled, "Keep it down," I can't even with this shit.
I mean, she more or less did. She roused another counselor in her tent, Dee Elder, and asked if Dee had heard a strange sound. She hadn't. Wilhite went outside with her flashlight to look around and heard the sounds again, but when she turned the flashlight towards the woods, the sounds stopped. She walked to the tents, found everything quiet, and returned to bed. Later, others would claim to have seen strange lights and have heard cries in the night. One said she heard a girl crying for her mother. But again, it's camp. Girls maybe are uncomfortable at night, whatever. And I think a lot of this was overheard and just sort of dismissed as girls not being able to sleep or whatever and having nightmares.
That's awful.
I mean, you see it in horror movies and it makes you want to fucking throw your whole popcorn at the screen when someone's like about to open the door and then they get distracted and then they don't. But I imagine that's got to be so easy to do where you're like, well, I don't want to wake up a bunch of girls if it was nothing and now I got to deal with that. You know what I mean? There's probably the things going through your head is realistically like,
No, for sure. I mean,
what's the easiest version of this? Like, I got close to right here, nothing, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
I'm sure that woman or camp counselor then lives the rest of their life with some sort of like horrible feeling or PTSD regarding it.
It's not like they were yelling like help me or something obvious like I've heard in some cases. But
yeah, I mean there are cases, right? Like Kitty Genovese is the famous one where she was getting stabbed or shot or something outside of her apartment building.
The bystander effect.
Yeah, and everybody thought someone else did something.
What did I look at just yesterday? I was going through an old comic book and it was not Elvira, excuse me. It was Vampirella, Frankenstein, and some doctor named like Dr. Dead or whatever. And it was like, oh, you can order these like 8-piece make your own murder mystery toy set. And it was like, it comes with one of the toys you get was called, quote, female victim.
The hell?
I'll try and find it and put it in the show notes. But the thing that's like in it though is like when Frankenstein goes to get I don't know why he's working with these two people, but they go to get this female victim and the lady's like, oh no, help, or whatever. It's written on the page, it's a comic book thing. And I think it's Vampirella's like, yell all you want. It's New York. No one's going to give a shit. And I was like, she doesn't say the S word, but I'm saying like, because it's a kid's book.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what a wild... Every part of this is wild, but like that's kind of to what you're saying. There was definitely in 70s New York. It's like, oh, nobody's going to come to your aid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here it was less of a bystander effect and more of just not realizing what was going on. And then to make things even heavier for Counselor Carla Wilhite, she's the one who discovered the bodies about 100 yards from their tent the next morning.
Oh, so they left the tent. 10 bodies were removed from the tent.
The bodies were removed from the tent. Yeah. Two of them were left like kind of near the path, and the third was further out in the woods, which is probably when she turned the flashlight towards the woods and the sound stopped. That's probably what was going on.
Oh, geez.
The cops were called. They scoured the woods looking for clues. According to a piece in People magazine, quote, near the bodies, investigators found a red plastic flashlight with a piece of a garbage bag taped over the lens. A newspaper was stuffed inside to keep the batteries from rattling. Just days later, after a tip from local squirrel hunters, who I think are the real heroes here.
That's a fucking thing?
Squirrel hunters. Officers descended on a nearby cave where they found a roll of masking tape with a piece of plastic stuck to it that matched the tape found on the flashlight at the crime scene. They also found another note, this time a message left for them on the wall of the cave that read, "The killer was here. Bye-bye, fools. 77-617," which I think is June 17th, 1977.
What a loser.
Guy is a loser, but he did have some foresight. He knew to bring the note. He knew the thing with the batteries I find actually very interesting.
Well, he clearly planned this. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, which also means not their first murder. When you have like a bunch of shit in place, kind of feels like you fucked up a couple times and now you're better at it.
Yeah, to go and murder 3 people, I mean, that would be a very big, sudden escalation to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. The killer earned this moniker.
Wouldn't you know it, it wasn't until a prison employee recognized 2 wedding photographs also found at the cave. The prison employee saw them because the photographs were broadcast on the nightly news. And then the prison employee told the police, I know those wedding photographs. And they had their suspect, fugitive and convicted rapist Gene Leroy Hart.
Okay, Gene.
Wait.
What all this work and you're dropping wedding photos? What are these wedding photos doing here?
Well, that comes into play a little bit later, sort of.
Was that what the squirrel hunters were chasing, a squirrel that took their wedding photos?
I'm wondering if they were his wedding photos or if they were trophies.
Oh.
That's a good question, actually. I assumed that they were his wedding photos, which is how the prison employee recognized that, oh, it's this guy.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
That's a good point. Police learned that Hart had developed the photos as part of a prison work program years earlier. But again, I don't know if they were his own photos that he developed or someone else's for some reason.
What are we doing in the prison system?
Anyway, Gene was a real piece of shit. He had been convicted of kidnapping and raping 2 pregnant women, as well as 4 counts of first-degree burglary, and he had been at large since 1973 after escaping from the Mays County Jail. So again, another detail that makes this a real-life, almost Friday the 13th movie of escaped maniac on the loose.
Also, if you're escaping from a jail with the name Mays, you'd think it'd be harder to get out of. But I guess pretty simple.
What's this asshole's name? Gene what?
Gene Leroy Hart.
What a fucking scumbag, dude. Now, this is the reason why we have, like, Death Wish was such a big movie in the 70s. You're just like, people like Gene are out here. You'd love to take shit into your own hands to just blow away a Gene. Okay.
This fucking guy?
I think that guy was my Uber driver. Like 2 weeks. It might have been his son. For real. Like that guy looks exactly like the guy who drove us the other night.
Gene.
Sorry, I was just going to say his eyes, they are like the classic like fish eyes.
Yeah, wait, hold that
They're
up
just,
again.
like, dead.
So at the camp you went to, someone might have had to eat a Gene.
Oh, yeah. He does have kind of fish eyes.
What is that? What's that documentary about the Cambodian like killing fields or whatever?
Oh, shit.
He's giving that. He's giving that.
He had been living in a cave near the camp when the crimes were committed and was arrested 10 months into the investigation after one of the largest manhunts in Oklahoma history. During trial the following year, one of Hart's main, or one of his defense attorney's main claims, angles of defense, was that Gene Leroy Hart was framed because Hart claimed he'd left the wedding photos found in the cave in the prison when he escaped, and that somebody had planted them there, which is a pretty weak defense.
Yeah.
That's very elaborate.
Yeah, but I will say, and I didn't write all this down because it gets kind of political, and I didn't want to get into it because it's a very nuanced conversation, but Gene was part of a local native tribe, and there was a lot of scuttlebutt around this case of, was he being picked up because he was I think clearly he'd been convicted of other crimes, but there was a racial element to the whole thing that made this case very complicated and difficult. And at the end of the day, he was acquitted. The jury bought the argument that he had left the photos in prison and that somebody must have planted them there. He was then, though, he didn't walk free, because he was returned to the Oklahoma State Penitentiary to serve the remaining 305 years of his original 308-year sentence.
Oh, from when he escaped.
Yeah, well, yeah, he had his original sentence for the rapes and murders.
If somebody planted those, fucking, what a hero. You know what I mean? If they're like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of people getting away with raping pregnant ladies, a sentence as a non-true crime podcast I thought I would never say.
Yeah.
And you know what? I got these pictures. We can get this asshole. I'm sure he's in one of these caves. When he was here, he'd always be like, if I ever escape, I'm going back to where I love to live. Caves.
He always left notes saying the killer was here.
The killer's looking for a good cave. And you know what I mean? So they knew kind of where to leave it. So I hope someone did fucking railroad that asshole.
Well, you don't have to hope. 2 months after he was returned to serve out the rest of his 308-year sentence, he dropped dead from a heart attack in the exercise yard. So good riddance, rotten hell, because the Girl Scout murders for decades officially remained unsolved until 2022, when we returned to the case with modern DNA testing and authorities announced that DNA from the crime strongly indicated Hart's involvement. The results were not 100% conclusive, and since he's long dead, there will never be a conviction and justice won't truly be served, but they are about as sure as they can be that this guy did it. So rest in piss to Gene Leroy Hart.
Congrats to whatever podcast had tons of time during quarantine to figure this out for a year and a half.
Well,
and then...
yeah, I don't know when it came out, but I was just Googling and Crime Junkie covered this story. So that probably helped.
Yeah. And people seemed pretty sure that it was him long before the DNA testing too. But this is about as close as they can get to really saying, yep, he was the guy. So after the murders, the camp was shut down. In 1988, the Girl Scout Council sold the property, and today it's a hunting ground, which kind of sucks. I feel like maybe you should have just made it a memorial considering that people were killed there. I don't know that a hunting ground is like the coolest thing.
I think people being killed places might be the only way any of us are going to buy a home one day, is if the price is lowered enough because of the slaughtering that happened there.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should turn all murder sites into memorials, but I think a hunting ground is in particularly poor taste.
Yeah, definitely 2 on the nose there.
Yeah. Great job, Oklahoma. Really, really coming through strong.
Wow, they have Diet Dr. Pepper on draft, which I'm not against.
The last thing I looked into was...
It's one of the few places I've been that has that.
I did look into seeing if there was any follow-up about the weird notes and whether or not they were in Gary's handwriting or what that was all about. And I couldn't find much else about the notes. If there are other podcasts about this case, they may have been able to dig a little bit deeper and find more. But yeah, I'm left to believe that Gary did plan this and leave these notes, which is an insane thing to do.
I hate it. I hate that there are people out there who are like, not even the murdering aspect, but just the like.
Well, definitely the murdering aspect.
It seemed like, but I'm saying it seemed like, hey, I'm on a mission to get 3 fucking people, and I know there's going to be 3 people in this tent. It's not like, that's Susie Goldsmith's daughter and Susie fucking was a piece of shit to me. It's just like, I have to kill 3 people. That's like their compulsion.
Yeah.
And they know where there's going to be 3 people who are like, you're probably going to be able to physically beat up a child.
Yeah.
So, it's just like, fuck you piece of shit.
Yeah, there's something...
Like, fucking, like, you're a garbage person.
There's something extra pathetic about preying on young girls while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, as if they're not already innocent and vulnerable enough.
Yeah, I mean...
You weak pussy piece of shit. You're going to do that while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
If anybody did anything to me when I was sleeping, it's a fucking jerk.
Yeah.
And that's not even the crimes. Like, there's like, because you think about it, human beings at any age and in any environment, we shut down for 6 to 12 hours and we're incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who preys like on that is a weird, gross piece of shit thing to do.
Oh, that just brought up another like icky, like fear. Have y'all done like a sleep episode yet?
We did sleep paralysis.
We did.
But it's not like other people coming in and licking you or anything.
Yeah. I don't like that. Creepy shit happening when you're asleep. That might be something.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like I for years, so I've always had cameras, like we make movies and stuff, and then GoPro comes out and what have you. And so I've always had access to cameras even before your phone was a camera. And there was like this one thing I drew the line where I'm like, I'll never film myself sleeping. And even before Paranormal Activity, I just don't want to ever turn it on and see something happen. Like it's either something crazy from me or a ghost or a fucking weird person who climbed in my window.
It's like found footage horror. That's like, my favorite, but it scares the shit out of me too.
Yeah, I don't need it. So to this day, like I refuse. Like the same way I won't bring a Ouija board into my house, I refuse to film myself sleeping.
I have a black and white video and audio baby monitor for my son, and it is the creepiest thing.
I was about to bring in baby monitors.
It's the creepiest thing every night because I roll over and it looks like found footage horror, and in my head every time I just see these 2 gnarled old witch hands like reaching into the crib and like slowly picking him up, and I'm like,
Uncle Ed,
gonna
dude.
see it. Uncle Ed, you better not. You better not, Uncle Ed.
What am I going to do with him? Middle of the night, throw him in a ceiling fan? I'm not going to do that. What am I supposed to do at that point?
But with that, I think we bring our trip to summer camps to a close, and that only leaves us with one thing left to do. Ed, Kaydra, where do we place summer camps on the fear tier?
And if you're unfamiliar, listen to the show enough, it's a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being not afraid of it all, 10 being
the grossest thing.
Which changes a lot, but it used to be a bucket of hot piss and shit dumped in your head. We should really change that. We're professionals now. So yeah, like, are you afraid of going to summer camp?
Yeah, I mean, I have been to summer camp, and like I told you, I've had some scary experiences. And I mean, it's just, there's something about the setting of it too. Just being out in the woods adds to the horror, the mystique, the I don't know what's out there. And it's also just like abnormally quiet a lot of times at night, and that makes it creepy, and then it's dark as shit. So I would definitely put it up there, especially based on the horrible stories that I heard today.
Yeah, bad shit goes down at summer camps.
Yeah. I have like a lot of things that I'm like my worst fears. I'm like putting those in my mind and kind of putting those at the top of the scale. So I'm going to put it at like a solid 6.
Okay.
Fair. Nice. Okay, Ed, what about you?
Yeah, I'll go 6. I mean, I never went, but I hate camping. We've established that in like a New Fear Unlocked episode. Just don't want to blow a bunch of fucking vacation days to sleep on the ground.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't like the woods. I don't. And and for this to like really be an accurate rating, I have to put myself in like younger Ed version. Like adult Ed, I'm still afraid, but I feel like kid age Ed who would be going to summer camp. Yeah, I would be super, super scared. Minimum of 6. And if I lived in a state, I don't know actually, like, so something like this happens, let's say. You said it made national news. Is that getting to the parents who have already, put down the deposit for a fucking, not necessarily that camp, but like a summer camp? Does that make you go, oh, wait, our summer camp's not safe? Should I send my kid now? But then I'm sure that thought happens for half a second and they go, wait, no, 3 months without our fucking kid. Let's fucking go. Get this kid out of here. Fucking best of luck. So, yeah, I would say, because I have no faith in parents not having a couple months off, I would say a 6 to a 7.
Great. Ed, as always, you really took us around the block on that one. Thank you.
Sorry. I don't know what to do, guys. The longer the show is, the more ads we can put in.
I'm going to put it at a solid 5. Again, I think I got to rate it for child Chris, and the only reason I place it a little bit lower is because I really like being in the woods, and I like the freedom and sense of excitement and adventure that comes with going to a camp. But I do remember how deeply afraid I was to go to sleep at night when I was at those summer camps. So even though I didn't know any of this bad stuff had ever even happened to anybody at that point, it was pretty scary as it was. So I'll give it a solid 5, and I won't ever be going to one again, but my kid might be, so I'll hold off on letting him hear this episode until he decides if he likes summer camps or not.
Well, there's 2 things before we wrap this up, which is one, it's kind of surprising to see that the murderer came from outside the camp. It wasn't like the camp counselors were secretly took this job because they want to murder kids. Mm-hmm. So it's like right there, you're like, I'm driving in the slow lane, I should be safe. Mm-hmm. But it's not keeping you safe because it was like literally an outside force, just walk through the fucking woods. Mm-hmm. And so that ups the fear a little bit because you're like, we did everything right and still got murderers, or still got a flash flood, or still got like the camp itself, for all the stories we went through tonight, were safe. They were fucking safe.
Yeah, the camps always did it right.
External forces descended upon these camps. And the other thing is we'll definitely be touching on camps again, because I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of emails from people being like, what do you mean you didn't do fucking my camp?
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah. And I mean, camping as well. This opens a whole other fear. Yeah.
Well, I'm not getting into camping. I can't get enough emails from Smokey the Bear next and shit.
All right. With all of that, guys, thank you so much for listening. Go check out Perplexity, a mystery podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts, preferably wherever you're listening to this podcast. You can go listen to all the episodes Kaydra has. Kaydra, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really fun episode, even though we've talked about some horrible shit. I think it's a really good, scary, fun episode. So thank you for that. Until next time, guys, you know the podcast. I am Chris Cullari.
You said that confidently. I'm Ed Voccola. That was Kaydra.
Hello.
That's what people say when they leave. Yeah, that's good. You're not a fucking alien that's wearing Kaydra's skin.
Goodbye.
This has been Scared All the Time, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Scared All the Time is co-produced by Chris Cullari and Ed Voccola.
Written by Chris Cullari.
Edited by Ed Voccola.
Additional support and Keeper of Sanity is Tess Feifel.
Our theme song is the track Scared by Perpetual Stew.
And Mr. Disclaimer is...
And just a reminder, you can now support the podcast on Patreon and get all kinds of cool shit in return. Depending on the tier you choose, we'll be offering everything from ad-free episodes, producer credits, exclusive access, and exclusive merch.
So go sign up for our Patreon at scaredallthetimepodcast.com.
Don't worry, all scaredy cats welcome.
No part of this show can be reproduced anywhere without permission. Copyright Astonishing Legends Productions.
Good night.
We are in this together.
Together.